While exploring a cave, a person starts at the entrance and makes the following successive distances. She moves 75 meters north, 250 meters east, 125 meters at an angle of 30 degrees north of west, and 150 meters south. Find the resultant displacement from the cave entrance. Okay, so here we should have a compass showing the north, the south, the east, the west. All right, there we have got east, we've got the west, we've got the south, you've got, you've got the north, you've got the south. Now, a person starts at the entrance and makes the following. She goes 75 meters north. So 75 meters here, 250 meters east. Okay, there. 125 meters at an angle of 30 degrees north of west. So it should be in the second quadrant. Now, north of west, look at the second thing to be mentioned, west, meaning that the angle is coming from the west towards the north, and that is 30 degrees. Okay, the magnitude is 125. And then 150 meters south. Okay, so we've put them. Now we should be able to find the components of these displacements. So let me put a displacement here, the x component and the y component. Starting with the 75-meter displacement, you can see it is only on the north, meaning it doesn't have any x component. If you want, use 90 degrees. Cos 90 is a 0. 75 cos 90 will give you a 0. And then sin 90 is a 1. So that is why y component will just be 75. You go to the 250 meters displacement. Now this one is on the east. The east is the x-axis, meaning that the angle, because this is a reference point, x-axis is the reference point, meaning that the angle is 0. Okay, cos 0 is a 1, so 250 cos 0 is going to be 250 itself. Sin 0 is a 0, so meaning that 250 sin 0 will be 0. You can even see. Okay, and then you can, let's go first to the one on the south, which is the 150 meters displacement. The x component, you can clearly see there is going to be a 0. It's because this angle is 270. Okay, cos 270 is a 0. Now sin 270 is the negative 1. That is why this one is on the south. South is the negative x-axis. That will be negative 150. Now you can go to the 125 displacement. For that one, the angle that you use should always be in reference to the positive x-axis in the anti-clockwise direction there. This is supposed to be 30. So 180 minus 30, that would be 1 what? 150. That's the one we are using. So for the x component is to be 125 cos 150. 125 cos 150, this should give you negative 108.25. And then for the y component, it is going to be 125 sin 150. Please, you need to show these as you are working. They are necessary. And just being neat, you end up getting some marks. Because if someone, you are giving trouble to someone to see what you've written, obviously, even if you've written something that is correct, they might be tired because of marking a lot of things. Or just remove something, and it will be up. It will be you losing. And you are able to confirm these answers. You see, the x value is negative 108. And you expect the x value to be negative because we're in the second quadrant. The y value is positive. You expect it. So the resultant, add the x components together. So 0 plus 250 minus 108.25. X components added together. This is going to give you something like 141.75. Other y components, 75 minus 150, like this is a 0, and then plus 62.5. This will give you something like 125.5, which is a positive value. So you know the x component, you know the y component. You can now find the resultant, which is going to be the square root of the x component squared plus y component squared. So that would be 141.75 squared plus plus 125.5 also squared. And this is going to give you, let me see, there's a negative that I've neglected. This answer is supposed to be a negative value. Actually, it's negative 12.5, not negative 125. Yeah, if you punch on your calculator. This is negative 12.5. So even inside here, it is going to be 12.5 squared. So the value that you're supposed to find when you take the square and square root, that will be 142.3. This is going to be meters. Okay. Now, whenever they ask for a vector should have both magnitude and direction. You've determined the magnitude, so what will be the direction? If you just end here, don't expect all the marks, no. So we know that theta is going to be tan inverse of y component divided by x component. So that will be tan inverse. The y component is negative 12.5. X component is 141.75. So if you punch that on your calculator, you should be able to get uh, negative 5.04 degrees. Now, if you want to give, this shouldn't be your final answer. Giving a negative one, it will not be a good idea. So look at the quadrant where this resultant vector is. X component is positive. Okay, y component is negative, meaning that this vector is in this quadrant. Even this value found is in this quadrant. Okay, the negative 5.04. The negative is just meaning direction. You are going in the clockwise and you measure angles in the anti-clockwise. Alright, so to find the actual value you want, you should add to this one 360. Or if you want, forget about this negative, it's just telling you the sign. You want this angle, so just say 360 minus 5.04. That will give you something like 350. Is it 355 degrees? If you want, you can say, since this angle is just below the x-axis, you can say it is 5.04 below the positive x-axis. Okay, if you don't want to give this one, say 5.04 below the positive x-axis. Or since here we're talking about a compass, you can say it is 5.04. This is degrees, of course. Uh, South of west. So however you present it, it is south of west because you are coming from the west. Okay, not even west, but south of east. Like you are coming from the east, going towards the what? The south. Okay, that's why we're saying south of east.